I want to start off a question with to Alex. Early hints. Tell us a little bit about why early hints is makes your browser faster.
Yeah, that's a good question. So we today announced as part of Speed Week early hints, and so early hints is a way that you can make a browser and an origin server sort of begin multitasking. They both can begin loading a page. Instead of having your browser sort of waiting around for the instructions that it needs from the origin server. So frequently in the sort of request response cycle that you get with regular internet browsing, your browser, you type something in, you push enter, a bunch of stuff happens in the background that Cloudflare generally takes care of, and that request then for the content that you want is routed to an origin server, and the origin server takes that request. It thinks about the response that you want to see. It sometimes has to make some external calls to maybe a database or an API, do some authorizations on the request, maybe look at data to make sure that what you're wanting to do is allowed or isn't fraud or anything. And so it's thinking about all these things and doing all these computations. And while it's doing that, it's not sending anything back to the browser yet. So the idea is that a browser needs sort of instructions in order to start painting and loading assets on the page. And so what early hints does is it takes certain parts of a page that maybe don't frequently change. The origin, doesn't need to wait to send information about certain style sheets, if a font changes, favicons, things like that. It can focus on compiling the full response, talking to these external databases and things, while the browser is, working on fetching things that don't really change that much, like fonts and favicons and scripts and stuff. And so while the browser is while the browser is loading those things from the early hints, the origin can continue to compile the full response and then send that through later. And so this multitasking sort of helps pages load faster. In our initial tests, this improvement can be greater than 30%, which is a massive improvement.
That's a huge deal. So how can our customers get access to early hints? Because like 30% load time is huge. So how can they get that today?
Yeah, it's definitely an impressive figure and something that we're working on being able to deliver to everybody for free in relative short order. This project is a collaboration between ourselves and a bunch of the who's who in the browser industry. And so we're working on developing this. We have a bunch of tests set up, and we currently have a beta. It's a closed beta. You have to go to the speed tab in the Cloudflare dashboard to sign up. And as testing continues with these browsers, we'll continue to release people from the beta, and it will shortly be available to everybody, and so everybody can see the improvements with early hints. And so that will be a really cool thing, and I'm excited to get more people using it and seeing the benefits.
How do we get this off the ground?
Yeah, I think it's a good question. Generally, Cloudflare does a lot of routing and making sure that things go to the destinations that they need to go. So they frequently will route requests and responses back, things like that. And so a little bit of insight, I guess, as to how we got this off the ground is that we were, talking with a bunch of browsers, and we wanted to work on this cool new sort of experimental status code early hints that a lot of people were sort of saying had great promise. So we really dug in and thought a lot about how we could add a little bit of magic to it to try and remove a lot of the impediments that other sort of potential technologies that sort of promise the same thing, like HTTP server push, which never really saw that wide of adoption, things like that. And so we wanted to take a lot of the hurdles that server push had, which was adoption, relying on uncoordinated sort of disparate parties, and really centralize all of that. So we wanted to take as much of the changes, I guess, as possible onto our stack, change some things around so that these pushes could be sent to browsers without a lot of origin configuration or changes. And so currently in the testing iteration, we had to break a couple of things. Certain origins and browsers maybe only expect one response to one request. And so now it's going to be 2 responses. So we had to do a bit of configuration there. But other than that, and working with browsers, it was, definitely just really focused on inspection of responses to make this work and to coordinate with the browsers.
It's awesome. It's a great cross collaboration effort. And it's really great to see that live and really great to see that for our customers.